The mysterious neighbor was a cold, quiet Thanksgiving morning. John stood at his window, sipping hot coffee. The street was empty, except for a figure standing still in front of the house. Across the road, his new neighbor, she was not human. She had pale blue skin that almost shimmered in the sunlight. Her long silver hair fell neatly over her shoulders, and she wore a long dark cloak that moved gently in the wind. Her large black eyes watched everything calmly, but there was something about her that felt different. John had seen her before, but only from a distance. No one else in the neighborhood spoke to her. People whispered things. She's strange. She's an alien from far away. Don't talk to her. But John was different. He believed everyone deserved kindness, especially today, Thanksgiving. John took a deep breath and decided. He put on his jacket and walked across the street. As he got closer, he noticed how still she was. She wasn't moving at all, just watching. Her name? He didn't even know her name. "Hi," John said, giving a friendly smile. "I'm John. Happy Thanksgiving." The alien woman slowly turned her head. For a moment, she said nothing, her eyes studying his face carefully. Then she spoke in perfect English, though her voice had a strange echo. "Happy Thanksgiving, John," she said. John was surprised. How did she already know his name? I was wondering. John continued. "Would you like to come over for Thanksgiving dinner? It's a big holiday here, and, well, it's better not to spend it alone." There was a long pause. The alien woman tilted her head slightly, almost like she was thinking deeply. "I accept," she finally said. John smiled wider. "Great. Dinner starts at 5. Please feel welcome." As John turned to leave, he didn't notice her hand lift slightly and press a small silver device on her wrist. The device glowed softly for a second before fading. The alien woman watched him walk back across the street at 5 o'clock sharp. The doorbell rang. John opened the door to see her standing there, exactly as before. Her cloak looked untouched by the wind, and her silver hair perfectly in place. She carried a small, strange-looking box in her hand. "Come in," John said cheerfully. She stepped inside, her black eyes scanning the room quickly, but carefully. John noticed her gaze stop for a moment at the family photos on the wall, then at his dog Max, who was sitting quietly near the couch. Max let out a low growl. "Sorry about him," John said. "He's usually friendly." She smiled gently. "Okay. Animals can sense many things." Her answer made John pause for a moment. Dinner was almost ready. John led her to the table and pulled out a chair. "Please, have a seat." "What should I call you?" he asked. She looked at him calmly. "My name is Zara." "Nice to meet you properly, Zara," John said as he placed plates on the table. "I hope you enjoy this. It's traditional food." She nodded politely. "I am curious about human traditions." The turkey was served, along with mashed potatoes, gravy, stuffing, and pumpkin pie. Zara ate slowly, almost as if she was studying each bite. Sometimes she would ask strange questions. Why do humans gather in this way? Why do you celebrate thankfulness? Why is food shared so much? John answered as best as he could, feeling a little amused. "You know," he said, "this day is really about family, friends, and being grateful." Zara nodded, but her dark eyes kept watching John closely. Every word he spoke seemed important to her. Suddenly, Zara put down her fork and reached into her cloak. She took out the strange, small box she had brought and handed it to John. "This is for you." "A gift," she said. John took the box carefully. 'Twas cold to the touch and had smooth silver sides. There were no buttons, no hinges. "Thank you," he said, feeling a little confused. "What is it?" "Is a symbol," Zara said softly. "To show respect for your kindness." John smiled warmly. "That's very thoughtful of you, Zara." But inside, he couldn't stop wondering, why was she really here? As dinner continued, Zara's questions became more personal. "Are you alone? Do you have family nearby? Would you leave this place if asked?" John felt a chill. Her voice remained calm and soft, but the questions felt strange. Why would she ask that? And why did Max keep growling whenever Zara spoke? John's heart beat a little faster. He suddenly realized he knew almost nothing about his new neighbor outside. The cold wind picked up, and somewhere deep inside the house, a light flickered. Strange behavior at the table, John tried to act normal. But something about Zara was making him nervous. She sat quietly at the dinner table, her hands resting perfectly still, her dark black eyes shining in the dim light of the dining room. Max, John's loyal dog, sat under the table, but wouldn't stop growling. His ears were flat, and his body was tense, like he was ready to attack or run. John laughed nervously, trying to make conversation. "So Zara, where are you from exactly?" Zara tilted her head slightly, her silver hair falling across her face. For a second, she didn't answer. Then she spoke slowly, choosing every word carefully. "I am from far beyond this world. My people do not usually share food this way." Her voice still had that strange echo. Every word felt deliberate. She picked up a spoon and examined it closely before taking a bite of mashed potatoes. Chewing slowly, as if she was testing the texture more than enjoying the taste. John watched her closely. Everything about her movements seemed calculated, too careful. She wasn't eating like someone who was hungry. She was observing. Suddenly, Zara placed her spoon down gently. She ran her fingers along the tablecloth, her fingertips brushing the wood underneath. Then she did something unexpected. She leaned forward and gently touched one of the family photos on the wall, her fingers tracing the picture of John's parents. "This is your family?" she asked softly. John nodded. "Yes, my mom and dad, they're gone now." Zara stared at the photo for a few more seconds. Her face was unreadable. "I see," she whispered. Then she turned her gaze back to John. "Do you miss them?" She asked. The question felt personal, almost too personal. But before John could answer, Zara's fingers moved to a small vase on the table. She ran her hand over it, and for a second, John could swear the vase glowed faintly blue where she touched it. His stomach twisted slightly. Was this some alien ability? Was she scanning his belongings? John tried to shake off the uncomfortable feeling and change the subject. "Do your people celebrate anything like Thanksgiving?" He asked. Zara smiled, but it wasn't a warm smile. It was more like she was mimicking what a smile should look like. "No," she said. "We do not gather in this way. We observe, we record. But we do not gather." Her eyes locked onto John's, and for a moment, he felt like she was staring straight into his mind. Suddenly, the ceiling light flickered. Zara's gaze shifted briefly to the light bulb above them, and then back to John. "Strange energy," she murmured. John's skin tingled. Was it just a coincidence? Or was she doing something? Then Max barked sharply from under the table. Zara didn't react the way a normal guest would. She didn't flinch or laugh. Instead, she slowly bent down and met the dog's gaze. Her black eyes glowed faintly blue for just a second. Max stopped barking immediately, but didn't seem relaxed. He simply froze, his tail stiff. John saw it happen and felt his heart pound faster. What did she just do? As dinner went on, Zara kept asking unusual questions. What is the purpose of your table? Why is this knife shaped this way? What does gratitude truly mean to humans? John answered, trying to sound casual, but inside he was growing more uneasy. It felt less like conversation and more like an interview. Or maybe even a study. Finally, Zara reached for her wrist. She pressed something tiny, its almost invisible button, and her bracelet glowed softly. John pretended not to notice, but watched. Carefully, Zara looked around the room once more. Then she leaned forward slightly and spoke quietly, almost like a secret. John, this home, it is interesting, very human. Her smile widened. And you are very kind, John. Her words sounded like a compliment, but they felt more like a test. Suddenly, Zara stood up. Thank you for the food, she said, but I must go now. Before John could protest, Zara bowed slightly, placed her hands together in a strange gesture, and walked calmly to the door. Max didn't move. He simply watched her with wide, frozen eyes. John felt confused and unsettled. As she stepped outside, Zara turned back to him one last time and said, I will return soon, John. Then she was gone, leaving behind a strange coldness in the air. John closed the door slowly, staring at the empty street inside. Max finally let out a quiet whimper. The unexpected gift the next morning. John sat in his living room, still thinking about Zara's strange visit. Her words echoed in his mind. I will return soon. John, Max, his loyal dog, sat quietly by his feet. But Max's behavior was different today. He hadn't barked since last night. He just sat, still and silent, staring at the front door. Suddenly, a soft knock came. John froze. He slowly walked to the door and opened it. No one was there, but on the doorstep lay a small silver box, exactly like the one Zara carried at dinner. John picked it up carefully. The box felt warm to the touch this time. There were no buttons, no markings, just a perfect, smooth surface. Max whined softly. Backing away from it, John placed the box on the coffee table and stared at it. What was this thing? A few minutes later. Curiosity won. He sat down, gently touched the box again, and then, as if reacting to his touch, the box opened on its own with a soft hiss. Inside was a small glowing crystal, pulsing with a soft blue light. John leaned closer. The crystal didn't look dangerous, but why had Zara left it? Was it really just a gift? Then something strange happened. The crystal floated slowly into the air, rising just above the box, spinning gently. The soft hum filled the room. Max backed into the corner, his eyes wide. Suddenly, a hologram appeared above the crystal. A strange alien symbol flashed. And then a voice spoke, not in English, but in a strange language John didn't recognize. But there was one word he could understand. Repeated again and again. Test, test, test. John's stomach tightened. What test? Was she testing him? The hologram changed, showing a glowing image of his house, a perfect map of every room, every item. Then it zoomed in on him, sitting exactly where he was, staring at the crystal. John's breath caught in his throat. Was Zara watching him right now? The crystal pulsed again, and then, as quickly as it had appeared, the hologram disappeared. The crystal dropped back into the box with a soft click. Silence. John felt cold sweat on his forehead. Why would Zara give him this? What did she want? At that moment, Max started barking again, loud and sharp. John jumped. Max was staring at the window, where something was moving. John rushed to the window and pulled the curtain aside. Across the street, Zara was standing there, still and silent, watching him from her yard. Even from this distance, John could see a small blue light glowing on her wrist. Their eyes met for just a second. Zara raised her hand, slowly, and smiled. It was the same strange smile from dinner. Polite, calm, and hiding something. Then she turned and walked away into her house, the door closing behind her without a sound. John sat down slowly. feeling more confused than ever. This wasn't just a dinner invitation anymore. Zara had brought him something. Something that scanned his home, studied him, and left a message. Test. Was he part of some alien experiment now? Was he safe? Or was it already too late? As night fell, John sat in his living room, staring at the silver box on the table. The crystal inside was dark now, but somehow he felt that it was still active. Still watching, Max didn't leave his side all night. His eyes locked on the box outside, across the street. Zara's house glowed faintly in the darkness. A hidden message the next day? John couldn't think of anything else. His mind kept going. Back to the silver box and the glowing crystal. Max stayed close to him. Unusually quiet, but sometimes growling softly at the table where the box still sat. John couldn't take it. Anymore, he decided to inspect the crystal again. Maybe there was something hidden, something he missed. Carefully, he lifted the crystal out of the box. It was cold now, no longer glowing. But as soon as he held it in his palm, a strange thing happened. A thin blue line of light crawled up his arm like veins glowing under his skin. John gasped and dropped the crystal, but the light didn't fade. It stayed on his arm, forming symbols that looked alien, but beautiful. Suddenly, he heard a voice. Not from the crystal, not from outside. It was inside his head. John, this is your message. It was Zara's voice, but it felt close, like she was standing right next to him. The symbols on his arm rearranged themselves into lines, moving fast, as if writing a story on his skin. John froze. His heart raced. Then the voice continued. You showed kindness. You passed the test, but there is more to learn. Look beneath. Look beneath. Those last words repeated again and again, till they slowly faded. Then the blue light vanished, leaving his skin normal again. John sat silently, staring at his arm. Look beneath. What did that mean? Beneath what? His gaze turned back to the silver box sitting quietly on the table. He picked it up, turned it over, and tapped the bottom gently. A soft click. A hidden compartment opened underneath. Inside was something smaller. Thin metal card, smooth and shiny, with strange symbols engraved on it. But one thing caught his eye immediately at the very bottom of the card. One line was written in clear English. Your world is not alone. John felt a chill. His mind raced. What did Zara mean? Was this a warning? An invitation? Or something else? At that moment, Max barked sharply again, but this time he wasn't looking at the box. He was looking at the window. John turned quickly. Across the street, Zara's house was gone. Completely vanished. Not a single trace remained in its place. It was only empty land, bare and clean, as if nothing had ever been built there. John ran to the front door and stepped outside. Heart pounding, his neighbors were out too, looking confused. Strange, one of them muttered. Wasn't there a house here yesterday? John didn't answer. His mind was spinning. He was the only one who remembered Zara. When he returned inside, John picked up the thin metal card again. It was glowing faintly now, and more symbols appeared on it. Then one last message appeared in English. Prepare yourself. We will return. John sat down slowly. His simple thanksgiving had turned into something far bigger than he could understand. And deep inside, he knew this was only the beginning. The confrontation that night, John couldn't sleep. The silver box sat on his table. The metal card kept glowing faintly, almost calling to him. Zara's house was gone, but he felt she wasn't far. The last message wouldn't leave his mind. Prepare yourself. We will return. But why? Why him? John decided he couldn't wait anymore. He needed answers. Early next morning, John took the metal card outside. He walked to where Zara's house used to stand. The ground looked normal, but it wasn't. There, right in the center of the empty plot, was a small circle burned into the ground, glowing faint blue. John stepped closer. As soon as he entered the circle, the metal card in his hand glowed brighter, and something unbelievable happened. A door appeared in thin air. It wasn't connected to any walls. Just a single silver door standing in the middle of nothing. John hesitated, but then, slowly, he reached for the handle and pulled it open. Inside was a dark room, cold metallic, glowing softly with blue lights running along the walls. He stepped inside. The door closed silently behind him. Disappearing completely in front of him stood Zara. She looked exactly the same, but this time, she wasn't smiling. Her glowing black eyes watched him closely. "Welcome, John," she said calmly. John's heart raced. "Where am I? What's going on? Why did you test me? Why did your house disappear?" Zara raised one hand gently. "You deserve answers," she said. "You passed our test because you showed something rare, pure kindness. No fear, no selfishness. You invited me without knowing who or what I was." John stepped forward, angry. "Now you scanned my house. You scared my dog. What do you want from me?" Zara's face softened slightly, but her voice remained calm. "We want you, John. We need a human who can represent your world." John froze. "Represent my world?" he asked slowly. Zara nodded, double quotes, "Yes, my people, the council. We have observed humanity for a long time. But until now, no human has been chosen." John felt a cold chill. Chosen? For what? Zara stepped closer. To speak for Earth, to decide its future with the stars. For a moment, there was silence. Then Zara raised her arm, and a hologram appeared beside them, showing the Earth, floating in space, surrounded by hundreds of ships, alien ships. "They are watching your planet right now," Zara said softly. "Soon, they will decide if Earth is a friend or a threat." John's heart pounded. "And you want me to speak for all humans?" Zara nodded. Nodded, double quotes, "Yes, John, you have only a short time. You must choose wisely." John looked around the strange, metallic room. It felt cold and alien, but this was real. All of it. Then he looked back at Zara. "Why me?" he whispered. Zara's expression softened even more. "Because you invited me, when no one else would." Her words hit John hard. Then, suddenly, the metal card in John's hand flashed bright blue. Zara's eyes glowed. "It is time," she said. "The council is waiting, and so is your world." The true purpose. John stood frozen. The silver room felt heavy and cold, and Zara's calm face gave him no comfort. He was being asked to speak for all of Earth. But why so suddenly? Why had no one warned him? Zara stepped closer, her voice soft but firm. "John, there's more you must know. The test was not just about kindness." John frowned. "Then what was it really about?" Zara raised her wrist device and pressed a button. At once, the walls around them changed, turning into transparent glass. John gasped. He wasn't inside a small room. He was inside a giant alien ship, floating high above Earth's atmosphere. Below him, he could see the entire world, peaceful but unaware of what was happening above. Around the ship, dozens, maybe hundreds of other alien ships floated silently, glowing in strange colors. Zara pointed to them. These ships, they belonged to different species. Some friendly, some not. John's heart raced faster. Zara continued. "The council doesn't just want your voice, John. They want your decision." John stared at her. "Decision? What decision?" Zara looked serious now. "You will decide whether humanity joins the larger galaxy peacefully, or remains isolated, or is removed as a threat. Her words felt like a punch. Removed as a threat. What do you mean by removed? John asked, his voice shaking. Zara's black eyes held his gaze. Destroyed. The word echoed in John's mind. Destroyed. Was this why she had come? Was this the true purpose behind her visit? Zara spoke again, but now there was sadness in her. Voice, my people came to test humanity many times before, but all candidates failed. Greed, anger, fear. She took a deep breath. But you, John, you showed something different when you invited me. No fear, no suspicion, pure kindness. John felt overwhelmed. But I'm just one man, he said. Why does my kindness matter? That doesn't prove all humans are good. Zara nodded slowly. That's true, but it proves hope. John took a deep breath and looked out the transparent wall again. Earth looked small from up here, but beautiful. His mind raced. He wasn't prepared for this. He didn't ask for this, but there was no way back. Then Zara revealed one last thing. She raised her hand, and a small screen appeared in front of John. It showed images of him inviting her to dinner, sharing food, speaking kindly, laughing together. All of this was recorded, Zara said. The council is watching your every gesture. Your kindness is the reason Earth still has a chance. John swallowed hard. What happens if I say no? He asked. Zara's expression didn't change. Then the council will decide without you, and their patience is running out. John clenched his fists. A simple dinner had become the most important event in human history, and now it was all up to him. Zara spoke softly. For the last time in that moment, John, you are humanity's voice now. You have 1 hour to prepare, and then you must stand before them. The choice. John sat alone in the silver room. The stars outside seemed closer now, bright and endless. 1 hour, that was all he had. 1 hour to decide the fate of his planet. Max wasn't here. The house was gone. His normal life, gone. All that remained was this moment and Zara's soft words repeating in his mind, you are humanity's voice now. A soft chime rang out the door ahead of him, slid open silently. Zara stood, waiting, calm and still. John, she said, the council is ready. John took a deep breath and stepped forward. The room he entered was unlike anything he had ever imagined. It was vast, round, and glowing blue. Around the edges floated holographic forms of many different alien species. Some large and frightening, others small and strange. All staring silently at him. At the very center was an empty circle. John's place. Zara guided him to stand there. Then a voice echoed all around, clear and powerful. Human John, you stand. Before the Galactic Council, John felt their eyes, hundreds of eyes watching him. The voice continued. You have shown kindness, hospitality, and trust to one of our observers. But we ask you now, why should your species be welcomed among us? Why should humanity survive? A deep silence followed. John felt the weight of the question. He thought about Earth, the wars, the greed, the mistakes, but also the hope, the kindness, the love. John raised his head and spoke simply, from his heart. I know humans aren't perfect. We fight, we make mistakes, we hurt each other, but we also help each other. We care, we love. We share, we open our homes to strangers, even strangers from the stars. His voice trembled, but he continued. I can't promise that we are ready, but I believe we can learn, we can change. And if you give us a chance, we will prove it. The council chamber remained silent for a moment. Then, slowly, the alien holograms began to change color, glowing green. One by one, Zara stepped beside John, her black eyes soft now. They accept, she whispered. John let out a breath. He didn't realize he was holding. The voice spoke again. Earth is granted peaceful contact. You, John, are now the first envoy. John smiled. It was over. Or maybe it was just the beginning. Zara turned to him and said gently, "Come, it's time to return home. But your home is part of something bigger now." As John stepped back toward the silver door, a surprise awaited him. Max's dog stood there, tail wagging, as if nothing strange had ever happened. Zara smiled. Even loyal friends deserve to come home. John knelt and hugged Max tightly. Feeling relief and joy, he looked back at the council one last time, nodded in thanks, and stepped through the door. The door closed behind him. John and Max were back, standing in front of his house. But now the stars above felt different, brighter, closer. He whispered softly, "I wonder what Thanksgiving will look like next year. ...